Right, so hello viewers and welcome back to our campaign here for Close Combat. It looks like it's, I'll do a quick recap right here. It looks like it's June 26th. It's currently, or we're not June probably, oh yeah, it's June 26th. It's currently 10 a.m. on the day, and currently it looks like it's a stormy sort of wet day right now. I know that the sort of the weather graphics aren't necessarily pictured in game, and in general I don't think they're actually that big of an influence because usually I don't really follow them. So anyhow, it looks like we had fought a pretty successful battle over here at the road junction, if you will, and we managed to push back. It looks like perhaps one squad or one formation HQ unit of Panzer Grenadiers or SS Panzer Grenadiers over here. And as you can see, currently they're a tad short on ammunition now, or it looks like, yeah, it looks like they're short on ammunition. They still have, or rather they still seem to have a decent amount of troops, but yeah, really low on ammo. Looks like they're also kind of fatigued up, but not really. So anyhow, that's going on quite nicely. We can probably finish off these other three battles in short succession very soon, and we might be able to even cut off these guys. But in the meantime, let's focus on these two battles and let's just really get them over with here. And as you can see here, now some of the losses are starting to mount up, and number 7th platoon over here is starting to take some damage, seeing as how it's missing, it looks like 2 platoons, or 2 formations, 2 squads if you will, here, and quite a lot of people inside this Bren section, this rifle section. Right, so currently it'll effectively continue off where we leave off on the tactical map here. The bright areas are again the areas that we can deploy in. The I'd say kind of grayish, not that blackish areas are the areas where nobody can deploy, and the dark areas are sort of the places where enemies can deploy here. And as you can see, currently I believe that it sort of models the battles as time goes on. Currently it looks like it's the close quarters combat portion of this battle, seeing as how currently our zones are very next to each other and people can spawn whatever they like practically right next to each other. So I think we'll go with this. We'll switch out number 7 platoon as the major sort of acting squad, and we'll put down number 9 for that, and we'll just go with a similar section like that. So we can reuse the soldiers in number 7, and at the same time rotate some fresh soldiers into the mix, seeing as how it's currently still, I mean, pretty early in our assault, and I definitely like to make some progress here, and really just press forward like that. Right, so because we're very close to the enemy forces this time, I'm going to scatter our troops slightly, and the reason being is that they have a big chunk over here of areas that they can deploy in, and they also have a really big chunk over here on the sort of the left and right flanks directly around us. And with that said, I'm slightly worried that the AI will pick one of those locations to deploy. So I'll keep a Bren section and mortar to protect our entry point, and the main thing here is that I want to keep the victory points, so I'm going to deploy just sort of accordingly. I'll get the tanks to cover the central road, infantry on the sides. We'll just really go from there and see what the enemy does. And it looks like opening up, they're doing something similar. Doesn't look like they've put down the infiltrators just yet, although we can't exactly see into those areas all too well. And it looks like they're starting to send in a few waves of troops. Oh, these guys are actually really numerous, and they're just sort of clumped up here. We'll engage those guys. Get our guys over here at the, I think it's East Orchard, it's what the text says, under those trees, and I'll get them to do an ambush order just in case when the enemies get close. Get these guys to go on the defensive. Can issue these guys the defensive commands, and this is a good way to get your guys to reposition themselves in their locale to face the direction you really want them to. So do that, and it looks like this will be more so of an infantry brawl here for the next few turns than anything, so let's go. And I do believe we have some mortars on assignment, so they should come in decently soon. Ooh, platoon HQ received. Oh no. Looks like Mansfield, the commander for this platoon, was taken out immediately. That is rather unfortunate. So the commander for the platoon is actually dead. Just sort of wiped off right off the bat there. Luckily, the leader for the squad looks like he's still alive, so at least that's good. And yeah, looks like we had some howitzers. My mistake, not mortars. And we'll call these over here, actually. See what they can do against the Panzer Grenadier forces moving forwards over here. Right, so that'll just sort of happen as time goes on. In the meantime, I'm going to try to pummel the enemy some more over here. Now again, I don't have that top meter anymore for keeping track of select things. I'm going to try to bring it back up here, but I'm afraid that I might hit one of the buttons that I use for recording purposes. And with that said, I don't want to like pause the video or you cancel it or anything, so I'm going to see what I can do there. And unfortunately, it looks like it's another one of those keys which I don't seem to have control of. And there we go, we can see some heavier howitzers being dropped down over here. That is just absolutely deadly. Looks like that one explosion down here managed to take down 2 of these guys, and that definitely pinned down the rest of the people over here. Now, I believe that if you take out enemy forces in an area where you have like semi-line of sight, you'll be able to see the corpses come up, but you won't be able to see the active sort of participants in the squad. So I'm checking for just sort of bodies swooping out from nowhere. That was actually quite a nice barrage in this one hedgerow location. And it looks like the fire has died down. And I've also lost my minimap here. Try to pull that back up. There we go. We'll see what we can do here to move up on these Panzer Grenadiers. Currently, it looks like they, yeah, they don't really have much. I think we've already taken out the first line of defense here, if you will. And it looks like they've run out of anti-tank weapons, or at least ones that we can see here. Oh, I see some infantry movement right there. Now, in some of the other games, the Panzer Grenadiers should actually have Panzer Fausts in addition to the regular teams. I'm not really sure why they're not using them right now. At least from what I remember. Because what there was actually a mod for the game that I really enjoy. It centers on the Battle of Berlin, so it was just absolutely filled with infantry combat inside buildings, and inside that, usually some of the Volkssturm, sort of German militia infantrymen, despite not being, say, a tank or anti-tank team, they usually I think they used to have like 1 or 2 Panzerfausts around. I'd assume that the Panzer Grenadiers have some too. And those are generally pretty lethal to these vehicles. Oddly enough, though, I guess we're wiping out these squads so fast that they don't really have a chance to react, perhaps. But I think things are going well over there. And over here, it looks like, yeah, the resistance is more or less gone. Oh, what is that? I hear some water effects there. I'm not really sure what those are all about. Oh. But either way, it looks like we're doing a ton of damage to those Panzer Grenadiers there. Right, so I think we have this area under control. I'm gonna get this three-man team here to move up. I'm going to see whether or not we can cap the triangle over here. Well, this infantry platoon squad, I don't really know if it has any more use, seeing as how Mansfield is dead. I think we'll just try to use it as a regular infantry squad here, and I'm going to issue a few sneak orders to our troops, and this will effectively be more so of a crawl command than anything. Sometimes the troops will start to walk forwards, but when I believe when they're on the cross, or crawl, or sorry, sneak command, what will happen is that the infantrymen here will prioritize using the crawl command wherever they feel is sort of fit to use it, and the second thing is that if they take fire, they'll stop immediately. Ooh! I see where they have their AT set up. It's actually right, oddly enough, at our flanks here. I'm going to get my tank to back up slightly. Whenever my troops can see it, hopefully they'll engage that. I'm going to get the mortar to drop a few shots right behind that pack AT shield and try to take it out. From what I remember, the mortars used to be pretty effective on those anti-tank guns. Oh, tank here is doing something weird. It's ordered a command to reverse, and unfortunately it's decided to turn its back against the AT gun here. Let's see what we can do to adjust that. I just wanted to pull back behind that hedgerow. Come on, tank, do your thing. And it's doing some sort of weird turning thing. I hope it makes it out of there alive. Looks like the Panzer Grenadiers here, the 2 of them that they're currently they're starting to make a small raid on our experienced rifle section over here. Right, so those are the thing. That pack gun is Is it? How well trained is this pack gun? I want to know, because currently it's actually missing a lot of its shots. Right, so those guys will duke it out. Gonna see what we can do here to quickly snuff out a few victory locations for ourselves here. Ooh. Yeah, unfortunately for the close combat line of games, like, tanks are just absolutely wonderful against infantry. It's kind of weird actually how easy they sort of die there. Man, these Panzer Grenadiers are actually really good in close quarters combat over here. Those MG42s, I want to say, maybe 34s are just mowing down my infantry, man. Yeah, because half of, or rather, this infantry squad here is effectively being suppressed by like 2 to 3 people over there. Let's see, I'm gonna try to quick cap the triangle location over here. As soon as we get one of these crossing victory locations, it'd be kind of nice to actually just get off this map and to move forwards from another direction. I'm gonna see whether or not that's also a choice here. Oh, and that's right, I forgot to use these 2 tanks over here. I'm going to try to get this Churchill with the 75mm cannon, I suppose. I'll try to move it up to this hedgerow, and I'll see whether or not I can pick off a few shots there. Oh, these guys over here seem to have found some German resistance. And looks like they're engaged in a grenade brawl right now. We'll see who comes out on top there. It's a mortar crew over there. Bring a tank to hopefully suppress them. There we go. These guys don't. This Churchill crew doesn't actually need to move. He can stay where it is to drop more fire on those guys. Perfect. Both of these tanks are starting to drop some rounds. Right, so this will be a good idea to use the sneak command here, and the infantrymen will then try to move forwards. It looks like we've regained control of the orchard area here, at the expense of, unfortunately, quite a few of our guys. It's a shame I can't zoom in any other farther, because it looks like one of the Panzer Grenadiers over here had surrendered for a bit of time, and then has, well now, looks like it was the MG guy. It looks like he surrendered and he went back to fighting. Right, so over here things look pretty good for now, so I think I'll get them to move forwards again like that. Let's see, how's the command squad doing? Oh no, it looks like they've lost the leader now again. Oddly enough though, it doesn't seem to be affecting this command radius, so I don't really know what's up with that. But I suppose it's a good thing for us. Right, so it looks like my 75mm Churchill there can move forwards and fire, so I'm going to get it to do its thing. It's reloading its main cannon right now, and it can fire. I hope that it can take those guys down before something takes it down. Try to get the other Churchill tank here to charge it. No, looks like it got immobilized here. Well, no, it shot off one round, but it didn't hit it. Now, in reality, these Churchill tanks are actually pretty tough from the front. I believe they had somewhere around 150mm of armor, I want to say. And as you can see there, it sometimes manages to stomach 1 or 2 rounds. But then again, with the close combat line of games, it's close combat in that the ranges are really rather small, and I think at like sub 200 meters, anything pretty much penetrates anything because it's just so up close. Well, not exactly everything, but most things definitely do pretty well. And there we go, yeah, so we broke the enemy's morale. Looks like, how did we do on losses? They definitely took right around, I'd say double the amount of ours, slightly more than double actually. I'm just looking at the wounded, it looks like in killed actually. We did pretty well there, so that's good too. Gained 2 victory locations, and it looks like these people are very quick to sort of back off of this area, so that's good. And it looks like we whittled them down to, how many units did they start off with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like we whittled them down to, yeah, 5 units. That's not bad. I think what happened was that Churchill finally landed the shot on that pack gun, and it looks like it took down the crew down to one man. That's what really caused that morale break. Right, so this will be a good time to talk a little bit more about like the tactical maps up here. How these fuel, ammo, cohesion, fatigue levels work is that obviously, I mean, I think they speak for themselves for the most part, but the thing that doesn't speak for themselves is that currently, or rather in the games, they're presented as if they were these meters that sort of have a value between either like 0 or 100%, but in reality, it actually uses a fractional system where every single formation, I believe, can carry 3 units of each. That's fuel, ammo, cohesion, and fatigues. It might not apply to fatigue and cohesion, but I think, or at least I think for a fact, I'm not too particularly sure because, it's been a long time since I played these games. But yeah, per every battle and per every movement order, I believe, or no, for every movement order, your units will use up 1 unit of fuel. And if that fuel meter sort of drops down, so you can move in total three times before you resupply. And battles, I believe, use 1 unit of fuel, 1 unit of ammunition, cohesion, and fatigue. Judging by the looks of the meters, they don't use sort of a 1 out of 3 number or fraction. They look like they use something, I'd say maybe out of 5 or 10. Anyhow, with ammo and so fuel is pretty much one unit per every movement. You can have a maximum of 3, and ammunition is again out of 3, used only obviously for battles. And yeah, it pretty much works off of that note. Now, on the map, you'll see here that there are these little, I'd say, brown boxes and green sort of barrel icons, and what those are, these are sort of supply locations on the map, and if you cap these away from the enemy, for example, like this one over here, you effectively deny a point of supply to your enemy. And when that happens, it then makes it obviously more difficult to resupply the troops. And if those values drop down low enough, then you start to sort of suffer more and more severe penalties to supply problems. For example, I think if fuel, if it drops down low enough, you A, won't be able to move on the strategical map, but B, for your vehicles you get inside the battles, they might start off immobilized. And likewise for ammo, as you see there, usually we only have like right around, I'd say, maybe 16 mortar rounds, and those really dwindle fast. Now, how you gain those supplies back is that you have 2 different types of resupply points. You have these ones with the crate and the crates and the barrels, and these usually generate 2 supplies. So you can fill up. You have a cap of 3. You fill up 2 per turn, and you also have some of these single barrel ones. We don't actually have any single barrel ones. Doesn't look like we do anyways. For the single barrel ones, it only fills up 1 unit, so obviously you sort of had to play the logistics out in that regard, but they're fairly simple, and they're decently easy to understand and man. Anyhow, getting back to the game, let's go and let's put down a few more tanks, and let's really see what we can do here. I'm actually going to get a Stuart light tank, because I don't think that we need too much armor for this battle. Yeah. And we'll just begin. There we go. And similarly, it looks like nobody can deploy inside this area over here. We can deploy inside these towns, but the Axis seem to actually have a lot of gray territory on this map. Or black territory on this map. Let's see what we can do here. I think we'll go with something like this. I'm going to keep the Stuart tank around this big black area, just to keep enemy forces away there. I'm under the impression that the AI tries to continue off of where they last were sort of standing, and with that said, I'm going to go for a deployment mainly inside this village where we saw a whole bunch of action, and the stuff down here where I think we found an AT gun near that church. Let's see. Currently it looks like we're taking some fire from somewhere. This Bren team is currently being suppressed, and this platoon HQ seems to be suffering casualties, and I think it's from that building, so get our tank to fire a few rounds into it. Let's see. Ooh, that is not very good. Our Churchill over here seems to be receiving fire from something. Ooh. That is not very good. It looks like did the infantry... Ooh, is that... Yeah, the infantry squad over here took a pretty hefty morale penalty due to that explosion as well. They're all broken right now. Hmm. Perhaps the AI